Hello and welcome to N-Focus, coming to you this week from the planet Viros. I'm your host, Hilka. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Rosalie. Boy, a lot has happened since we did our last episode, and we are both very tired. Am I correct in that assessment?
Yes. My brain is like barely holding it together. I'm not going to lie. And I've been having dreams that Nintendo announced things, and I'm like, oh no, I need to get this out. I need to write it up. And then I'm like, wait a second. But I've booked Monday and Tuesday off, and on Saturday I'm getting my hair cut because I looked like a little gremlin, and I've just been hiding in this room in Switch 2 land. So I was about to say I can't wait till it's over. That won't be for a very long time.
No. Well, I mean, June is not that far away.
Yeah, but that for the first few months I'll have a lot to do. So
That's true.
yeah. Oh well, no rest for the wicked, as they say.
Yeah. But yeah, so for those of you who are out of the loop somehow, the Switch 2 announcement was recently, and we're going to be covering that on the episode, as well as the March 27th Nintendo Direct. Before we get into that, I want to acknowledge, hey, if everything has gone according to plan, which jury's still out on that, I suppose, you might be listening to this on YouTube.
Ooh.
And those of you in our regular podcast feed audience, yes, we are making a YouTube channel. In fact, I've already secretly made it. You can find it at youtube.com/@GamePodular. I don't know why we had to have the @ in there. It annoys me too. But it'll just be like nothing about, well, very little about our podcast feed is actually going to change. This is just going to be an alternative way to host the podcasts and an alternative way for people to listen to the podcasts. I like using YouTube for watching long videos, and I figured it might be a good place to maybe find a broader audience as well. So if you are one of our YouTube listeners, hey, thanks for tuning in. Glad you found us so quickly. And if you're planning to stick to the podcast feed, that's fine too. Like I said, it shouldn't be changing all that much. We also have a Patreon. It is patreon.com/GamePodular. If you want to throw us a couple of dollar reviews to help support what we do, that would be very nice. You don't have to do it, but we would really appreciate it if you did.
Yes, please.
All right, we got a lot of news to cover, so let's get into it. Woo! So before we get fully into the Direct, I do have to ask the question, why did they do this? Because a lot of the games that they, featured on this Direct were also featured in the Switch 2 Direct, albeit with less detail, but I did kind of feel like I was having a deja vu moment of, hang on, didn't I already write this in my notes? Oh, I did. Great. I can use them again.
That was very weird, yeah. Because there was rumors that it was happening a week before, and I was like, no. Because that would make people confused. Because I'll be like, what's going to be on the Switch? What will work on the Switch too? And I'm like, no, they did do it.
Yeah.
And I'm still confused. Well, not really. But, it was just bizarre. I don't know if they had they were like, oh, we forgot to put this out. Got handed my homework on time. I don't know. It was very weird.
It was very weird. Because it was they announced it 24 hours ahead of time.
Yeah.
As they often do, which is just great for those of us who, have to do writing about them.
I did, because obviously, in my day job, I don't have to write about the more game-focused stuff, so I was thinking, haha, no, Ilka's not going to be happy.
Yeah, it was a weird decision. But they did talk about a lot, and we are going to talk about it as we basically always do whenever there's a direct. So the first game was Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake.
Yeah.
Of course, the one of those for 3 came out last year. I heard it was very good. It's one I definitely intend to play because I love Dragon Quest. We already knew this one was coming, but hadn't seen like gameplay yet. It's coming later this year, which is also very exciting.
Yeah. I own 3 and I've still not played it yet. So, oops. But if it's later this year, then I have plenty of time.
Yeah. Our next one was No Sleep for Kaname Date from the Somnium Files. I was that day years old when I realized it was the Somnium Files and not AI, the Somnium Files.
Oh, I call it AI Somnium Files. I know other fans that do. I'm wondering if it's one of those things where sometimes official things say AI and sometimes they don't.
Like, this is the first time I think I'd ever heard it said out loud in this trailer.
Unless this is like a Mandela effect thing, and it's always been like that. I swear it said AI, because that's what I call it, and I've played them. Maybe I'm just old and, the dementia is setting in already. I don't know.
I hope not. Because that will make you less adept at solving the puzzles in this detective game. Where the basic gist of it is Iris, an idol, has gone missing and has been trapped in some sort of like Saw-like escape room, and you, Kaname Date, have to investigate the disappearance. It is very cool, which I assume is a feature of the Somnium Files series, where you look into people's dreams to look for clues.
Kind of. Yeah. The first game is like there's a machine and you have 3 minutes to go into their subconscious, like their brain, and you'll be in this weird, creepy dream version of like their fears, and you use it to solve like this mystery / murder that's going on and subsequent murders. But if you're in there for longer than 3 minutes, you will become stuck into the person's brain forever.
Ah.
The first game is one of the best games I've ever played. It's phenomenal. And to the point where I have like the pop-up parade exclusive collector's edition figure of the second one. I've highly recommend them to people that like puzzle things and like kind of Zero Escape kind of, because I think it's one of the same people behind the Zero Escape games.
That's sort of the vibe I was getting from this trailer, yeah. And I love the first Zero Escape game especially.
Oh, 999?
Yeah, 9 persons, 9 hours, 9 doors.
I think you'd pretty like this then. And it's very witty. It's one of the wittiest games ever, to the point where I was like, is this in the original game or is this a localization thing? And there's even a bit where they go to a bar. I think I've mentioned this like 3 times on this podcast already. But there's a bit where they go to a bar and there's the person behind the bar is queer, and then the girl in it goes, LGBT people are cool. And I was like, yeah. And I just thought that was neat. Not like, yeah, it's a fun time, and like the payoff in the first one is so good, and it's on everything as well. So I think it goes on sale on Steam quite a lot. Anyway,
and we won't have to wait super long to play this one because it's coming out July 25th of this year.
Ooh.
Our next one is Raido Remastered: The Mystery of the Soulless Army.
What a name.
This is set in the world of Devil Summoner, the Atlas RPG series. It's an action RPG with monster collecting. I believe the original one of these was for the PlayStation 3, which, like a lot of PlayStation 3 games, means that it has sort of been stuck on that console for a while. This one is even sooner at June 19th, 2025. As longer time listeners of this podcast will know, I do love me a monster collecting game. I've been playing one for the last 5 months. thereabouts. uh, and yeah, I might pick this up. This looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god. I still can't believe Shadow Labyrinth is a real game that exists. It's the edgelord Pac-Man Metroidvania is not a sentence that should be real, you know? Like
Yeah.
why Pac-Man? Like why did it have to be Pac-Man?
Why not Pac-Man?
It's just so like it doesn't look like it fits the aesthetic of the rest of the game. The like big drippy evil Pac-Man that appears, or like when you fuse with Puck the orb to like become like you go along the walls and stuff. You're literally just Pac-Man, just waka 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 along the walls. I like maybe because this sort of ties into that secret level Amazon show that I heard was not that good.
That makes
But I think
sense.
Shadow Labyrinth ties into the Pac-Man episode of that.
Yeah, it reminds me of, again, I have mentioned this before, but it reminds me of that Bomberman reboot they did.
Yeah.
Was it 360? And they were like,
Yeah.
instead of this cute little dude, you're just now some generic guy in a spacesuit. And it's like,
Remember the Bionic Commando edgy reboot also on the 360?
no. Oh, no, I do, yeah. 360 was very like toxic masculinity. Like, every guy has to be like a big guy. And I'm like, I
Big,
don't
like-
mind. I don't mind my big, muscly, like, guys, but sometimes it just gets a bit boring.
Yeah, like too many video game protagonists from that era look like they were drawn by Rob Liefeld.
Yes.
The one in Shadow Labyrinth definitely isn't. There is a lot more like good visual design in there, but it's just I can't like it's a Metroidvania, but Pac-Man, and like you could turn into a big monster named Gaia, and that monster can then eat other monsters and gain materials and craft character upgrades. It's just like it's a video game that they stapled Edgelord Pac-Man into. It baffling. I don't understand it.
I would buy it if it was called Edgelord Pac-Man. Just like fully embrace it. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah. Well, we won't have to wait for very long because it's coming out July 18th, 2025. So, hey, we could find out relatively soon. Oh, this was another fun one given a recent episode. Patapon 1+2 Replay. A bundle remaster of the first two Patapon games, the rhythm strategy games that Ratatan, which we covered like on our last episode, is a spiritual successor to.
Yeah.
And it's very funny to announce those. Like, I guess Ratatan was technically announced like a couple of years ago when they did the Kickstarter for it, but
That
to
has to
have
be,
these two like trailers within like a month of each other.
it has to be a bit of a bummer to like be an indie dev and be like, right, because this company never hasn't touched their franchise in ages, we're gonna do our own spin on it. And then the company are like, oh no, we're re-releasing them. It's like, no.
Yeah.
I guess
Really
like
took the wind out of their sails.
yeah, I guess obviously like a lot of indie games add more cool takes that it becomes their own, because like Stardew Valley was kind of like, hey, there's not been a good Harvest Moon in a while, there's this, and it's kind of overtaken it, so that could happen. But yeah, it must not be a nice feeling.
No.
Oh,
But speaking of Harvest Moon, our next game in the direct was Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, which the Story of Seasons and Harvest Moon is sort of like a weird relationship, right? Because Story of Seasons is it's Harvest Moon, but they don't have the license anymore or something.
yeah, I get confused. It's a bit like the Macross Harmony Gold situation. It's like the original creator doesn't own the rights to it, so he released the other games so he could still keep making similar games or something. I'm not like well versed in the Harvest Moon world, sadly.
This is apparently a like from the ground up remake of a DS game. I mean, it's basically it's Story of Seasons. It's just another farming sim. There are a lot of those.
I did see a lot of people like losing their minds, so I think it is one of the like better ones, I assume.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it looked pretty fun, you know, as far as farming sims go. I'm again, longer time listeners will know I'm not the biggest fan, but of farming sims in general. But this looked like a pretty good one. I like that like there's a theme of wind in this, and you can like ride the gales around town to get places quicker and stuff.
yeah, it looked really cute. Yeah.
This one is also coming to Steam, which is pretty cool. And it's coming on August 27th of this year.
Ooh, it might be a good Steamy Deck game, perhaps.
Ooh, yeah. Our next one, sort of the biggest ticket item. You heard our little intro. It's Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Some more details on it. They showed off some gameplay as well. It takes place on the planet Vuros that Samus has unexpectedly been transported to for some reason. We'll find out if we play the game, I suppose. You get psychic powers in this one, which you can use to flip switches, open doors, and even control your shots after you fire them. That's really cool. And there's a new like red power armor suit. I am really, really excited for this game. I have only played Metroid Prime 1, but that game is a top to bottom banger, as the kids probably say.
Was it lit? Was it full of Riz? I just aged myself so much, like that Saving Private Ryan meme. No, this looked... Well, I assumed that they were showing it running on the Switch, because this was technically a Switch Direct and not a Switch 2 one yet.
Yeah, they were very specific about we will not be discussing the Switch 2 in this Direct.
Yeah, although they kind of did at some point. Anyway, getting ahead of ourselves. But this looked really pretty, because I am definitely in the camp of the current Switch is showing its age quite significantly. But I was very impressed of how really tight and polished, and the lighting and the footage of this as well was really, really lovely.
I mean, I guess all of that development time has added up to something.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But yeah, this game looks incredible. And it is mildly annoying that they did not give a release date for it. I think the only thing we know specifically is just 2025. And even that, I'd have to go back and check previous episodes to be doubly sure about that.
Yeah, it's just a 2025 window for now, I do believe.
So no hope of it being a launch title as we hoped, but oh well.
Might be a Christmas one, maybe. Holidays. Ooh.
This was another weird one. Disney Villains Cursed Cafe. You run a cafe where you make potions for Disney villains as if the potions were coffee. It's like Valhalla, except not a cool, interesting cyberpunk story, but it's Disney villains.
I'm not going to lie, though, I'll probably still buy it.
It came out right after the presentation, so hey, you can do it right out now.
I didn't know that. I missed that bit. Yeah. I'm a sucker for Disney stuff. I can't help it. I also have an inkling to like Disney villains, like the kind of branding for that, because I have like lots of evil queen stuff in my bedroom, like this really cool. I don't want to get too much on a tangent, but it's this massive, and I mean massive, porcelain poison apple, and it's a apple scented candle. But you open the lid, but it, like when it's closed, it actually has like the poison draped on it, but it's white instead of like green, and it's really classy. I like it.
Ooh.
And it smells really good. I like my bad guys.
Did you ever buy any of the Disney Villainous board games?
I don't have them. I've bought them from my friend that has them, and I really like it. It's very fun.
Yeah, I've heard they're very good.
Yeah, I need to get my own copy at some point because they got Ratigan in it, and like he's not a I probably even have to mention that's the bad guy from Basil the Great Mouse Detective.
Yeah.
And he's not really used in like merchandising that often because they kind of forget that they made that film. So, and like each villain has their own method of how they win, and they're all tied. They're all in character as well. It's very, very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do enjoy a bit of that, I have to say.
So you might enjoy this game as well then.
Yay!
Hey, we were talking about Stardew Valley earlier because the next game announced or shown was Witchbrook, a witchy life sim by Chucklefish of Stardew Valley fame. This pixel art looks unsurprisingly gorgeous. I mean, Stardew Valley is just a really good-looking game. It just looks all very charming, is I think the best way I can describe it. And it's coming out in holiday of 2025.
It is worth knowing that the Chucklefish has separated ways, so they don't publish Stardew Valley anymore.
Right. I had a different name in my head.
Concerned Ape?
Concerned Ape is the developer of Stardew Valley. That's right.
Yes, and they used to be... Yeah, they used to be partnered with Chucklefish. And then not that long ago, like a few months ago, they parted ways. I think because also there was sometimes a confusion between like Witchbrook and Haunted Chocolatier, which is the actual Concerned Ape developed game that's coming up.
Yes.
Which I am like foaming at the mouth to play. I do like the look of Witchbrook, but it reminds me... It's annoying because I love stuff like Little Witch Academia and things too, but some of it reminds me of a certain IP that I don't want to be reminded of. So I'm like,
I mean, I'll always take new things trying to replace it in that sphere.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a good positive outlook. I do like that.
Yeah.
I think I'm not like if they announced that Haunted Chocolatier, or however it's pronounced, if they announced that, I would have been like, that's a pre-order day one situation. But I might. This is a wait and see what people take away from it. It did look really like cozy, and I like a cozy game.
Our next game is The Eternal Life of Goldman. It's an action platformer that they made a big deal of mentioning the hand-drawn animation, and it's a good thing too, because that hand-drawn animation is phenomenal. You play as an old man going on an adventure, and you have an upgradable cane, and you get to do the cane bounce from the DuckTales platformer game, so I'm sold.
A classic.
This one's holiday 2025 as well. Ooh, and speaking of classics, Gradius Origins. I heard you like shmups. This is a collection of Gradius games. It has Gradius, Salamander, Life Force, Gradius 2, Gradius 3, and Salamander 3, and, fun bonus, also contains a new entry, Salamander 3. August 27th, 2025. I have not played any of these, but I do like me a shmup occasionally. I'm a big fan of Jamestown. Remember that game?
No.
It was like an indie like shoot 'em up from like I want to say 2013, maybe even earlier. Like it's been a while since that came out.
I do know Gradius. Well, I think I know Gradius. Because is Gradius is that the one that plays before Tekken and Tekken 2, or is it just the first Tekken?
You're asking the wrong person. I don't know.
I'm going to very quickly look that up so I don't sound like an idiot. Yeah, it's a Konami. It's the Konami one. Yeah, okay, I'm not an idiot. Yeah, because at the start of Tekken, or Tekken 2, I think it's Tekken. I can't remember because I had both. I played Tekken and Tekken 2 to death. But you could play like the start of Gradius at the beginning and while the game was loading up. And
Oh, fun.
The little kind of like the little jingle just reminds me of kicking people's butts in Tekken. So back when I could, I cannot do that anymore. So it makes me happy. So I might actually like get this and just have it digitally to be like, yeah.
Yeah. Our next game was Rift of the Necrodancer. This game is already out on PC, but it is coming to Switch. I don't believe they said when, because it's not in my notes, but it's possible I forgot to write it down, and if that's the case, I apologize. It is also getting DLC with songs and like assets from other indie games like Celeste and Pizza Tower. I believe the Celeste one is also already out. And more in the future as well.
Ooh.
I've heard you like rhythm games. Have you played Crypt of the Necrodancer, the first one of these?
I have, but I couldn't get into it. And I'm not sure why. Because I do like the music. I listen to the soundtrack sometimes on Spotify. I think it's yeah. I don't know.
Because
Just
this
didn't-
looked more like a traditional like Guitar Hero-y kind of rhythm game, not so much the grid-based jumping around like you had in Crypt.
Yeah, which I like. I like when games incorporate like music and stuff, but in like a different kind of like setting, like how oh, what was that Kingdom Hearts spin-off? Melody something.
Melody of Memory?
That's it. My brain is so mush today. I like things like that where they kind of mix things up a little bit. But when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, I'd just rather be playing Guitar Hero. Which,
If I'm not mistaken, didn't you buy like a cool peripheral for that recently?
did I buy an 130 quid controller just to relive my teenage Guitar Hero days? Maybe. I did, yeah. And it's very cool and fun. I haven't emulated, I want to emulate Guitar Hero 1, 2, and 3 on PC or my Steam Deck and hook it up with that because you can do that. And Clone Hero, I haven't done that yet.
Ooh.
But it works with Fortnite Festival and it's very, very, very fun. So I would just do that. If this ever goes on sale though, because, you know, the other games sometimes are like dirt cheap in like big summer sales and things. I might have a look then. But yeah, I didn't click because I even played the Zelda spin-off they did.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just really
Forgot
bad
about
at
that
it.
one.
So maybe I'm just bad at it. I don't know. But I just couldn't get into the rhythm. I don't like, you know me, I don't like to entirely mean that I'll never try and go back to it. Because I love this. I love the look of it and I love the art style and I really like the premise and idea behind it and the new one, but it's just not clicked for me yet, I'm afraid.
I mean, this is a very different approach to it, so I guess like
Yeah.
it wouldn't be the worst idea to give it a try. But again, if you're planning on going for Guitar Hero and Clone Hero and such, I don't know if you'll necessarily need this too,
That's
unless you've got like a real hankering to play specifically like the Celeste soundtrack, which I've heard is excellent.
Yes,
to
it
be
is.
fair.
Yeah. That's another game I'm really bad at, but I love the soundtrack.
Same.
I think this could be a skill issue, maybe. I don't know. That's lingo the kids say, skill issue.
It is.
Yeah, I'm not entirely writing it out because I have seen some clips of people streaming it, and I was like, but it's probably like a wait till it's really cheap on Steam kind of situation for me, or the eShop, I guess.
It's on both. Or at least it will be on the eShop in the future, vaguely.
Yes.
Our next one is Tamagotchi Plaza. Ooh. Wow. Didn't think we'd see a new Tamagotchi game in the year 2025. But I mean, I guess we are experiencing some amount of 90s nostalgia at the moment. Because those of us who were born there are in our 30s and 40s.
Well, they never... Tamagotchis never stopped. I think they just weren't big here. Because Sylvie, who used to be a part of this podcast, she is like a hardcore Tamagotchi fan.
So I've seen on Blue Sky, yeah.
Yes, to the point where I bought one like the other weekend at a toy shop because I was like, Sylvie keeps talking about them and they look cool. And then I just let it die first thing. I haven't touched it since. Just like the 90s.
Yeah. This seems to be some sort of shop management sim. Like there's a plaza and there was a bunch of shops. And you go there and you, manage the shops, I suppose. There was not really a lot of info on gameplay. So I'm really guessing based on this one trailer. But I guess we don't have to wait for very long because it's coming out on June 27th.
Ooh.
Another one of the big ticket items was Pokemon Legends ZA. Of course, it's been revealed before, and it's had other trailers before. This was just more information. Introducing a feature called ZA Royale, which is during the day, you've got like the wild zones where you battle Pokemon and catch Pokemon and, the Pokemon Legends thing. But then at night, those zones become trainer areas where you fight trainers because all the trainers in the city are enrolled in a big tournament. And the winner of the tournament supposedly gets a wish. Classic anime
yep.
narrative device. There we go. And this really emphasized like timing during the fights because as a reminder, the fights are now fully real time. And so timing and distance and stuff matters now. It still looks a bit ugly. Like, not gonna sit here and pretend like it doesn't, but I'm still pretty pumped for this game. We've talked about this in a previous episode. It's coming out late 2025. Mm-hmm. Ooh, here's one that we haven't heard from in a while. Rhythm Heaven Groove.
Oh, yes.
I love the Rhythm Heaven games. They're so goofy and silly. And this trailer was great too. It is unfortunate that we don't have a release date more specific than 2026. So it's still going to be a while. But I'm really glad to see the series back.
Yeah, this was one of the games where I was happy for like the fandom. Because it's one of those ones where, like, I guess like Half-Life maybe, where they've been waiting so long for like a new entry.
Yeah, that happened again later in this presentation.
Yeah, and I just saw this like I don't even follow that many people on Blue Sky. Definitely not as many as I did on the old website. But it was just there's this flurry of people. I mean, I was working, so I technically shouldn't have been checking social media, but I did anyway. And it was just a flurry of people going, "Oh my god!" And it was just really cute, and just made me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will you be playing this? Because again, as previously established, I know you like rhythm games.
I don't think I ever owned one of the other ones. It was one of the ones where like a friend had it, and I play it with them. But yeah, I very much do want to get this. It's a very good kind of like having friends over and messing around kind of game as well.
Yeah.
So it might come in handy with the old thing we're talking about later.
As will this next feature, sort of.
Yeah.
This was not a trailer for a game, but a new feature that they're introducing to the Switch. It's called Virtual Game Cards. This is a feature that will let you share digital games between Switch consoles. You do have to be on like a local area connection to connect to the other consoles. You can share games with Nintendo account family group members via local wireless as well. You can lend them out for 14 days. They will like not be accessible on your console while they're lent out, obviously. And this is a feature that's coming just late April. That's this month, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be rolling out in the new system update for the current Switch. I'm a bit worried that this is replacing, because if someone else is signed on if someone else is logged into your Switch, they can just play any game you have downloaded. There's a fear that this is going to replace that.
That would be odd.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. Obviously, I don't think it will. But it was in the back of my head that this was like to kind of like a new way of game sharing, which would be a bummer, because like, don't know. It was just unnecessarily quite confusing and a bit bizarre. But it was quite funny because they were like, "We're not going to mention the Switch 2," and then they mentioned the Switch 2.
Yeah. I do hope that this is just an addition and not a replacement. I do agree that the messaging around this could have been a little bit clearer.
Yeah.
But I broadly think that, like, one of the cool things about having physical games is just you can lend them out to people or you can resell them or whatever. And obviously you can't resell the digital ones, but like giving someone an opportunity to be like, hey, do you want to just try this game out for a bit and like doing the transfer this way? Mm-hmm. I think that's generally a good thing to do.
Yeah. I just have a feeling that I don't know. I have a feeling it's a bit more anti-consumer, or because we don't know exactly how it goes yet. Like I'm kind of giving it the side eye for now, if that makes sense. Because it just feels like a bit of it doesn't, I don't know. It is a good thing, but it just feels like it's too much of a good thing, that it just feels a bit bizarre.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on how it's actually implemented and what some of the not announced limitations are. Obviously, I do believe, I didn't write this in my notes, so correct me if I'm wrong, both you, Rosalie, and also people listening at home. I do believe the two systems do need to like maintain some amount of like local area connection, in the sense that they both need to be connected to the same network. Like you can't lend it to someone and then they go back home and play it at home. Yes. I believe that's one of the main things.
It's like the was it the Mario Party on the DS that you only one person actually needed to have the game, and you could like share the game with like 3 other systems at a time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it does feel like that, which is cool, because that was a good way to save money when you were young.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's something, it was just very bizarre. I wasn't like, oh yeah, cool afterwards. I was like, huh?
Yeah, what's the catch?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just being a negative Nancy. I don't know.
I mean, not necessarily, right? Like, it's, especially with big companies like this, and if you are new to the podcast, we do want to make it very clear that we're not here to lick Nintendo's boots. Obviously, we are covering predominantly things that they've announced this episode, but we try to be appropriately critical when we need to be, Yes. So I do believe for features like this, it is healthy to have some amount of skepticism, because especially with companies as big as Nintendo, there is frequently a catch that they don't necessarily want to announce the first time they announce the feature. We don't know, but I do believe some amount of skepticism is healthy. I think your reservations are very sensible.
Yeah. Thank you.
Then there was what I like to call the sizzle reel of just like 12 seconds of footage for new games and release dates. that I had to pause multiple times, of course, while I was watching. High on Life, May 4th. Star Overdrive, April 10th, which we've already covered. The Wandering Village, that one looks nice. July 17th. King of Meat, 2025. Lose Lagoon, summer 2025. And Fantasy Life, lowercase I, The Girl Who Steals Time, which is coming out on May 21st, 2025, and looks like it runs terribly. Like, the trailer they showed in the sizzle reel was running at like 18 FPS. It was hilarious.
Yeah. Also, like, putting High on Life, which is like, I don't know how much they're going to charge for it, but like, that was a PlayStation Plus free title recently and was on Game Pass, so that's definitely a choice to make people like try and get people to pay for it because everybody's probably played it by now. But and do you know what? It's actually pretty funny and pretty good. And I got to play it knowing that the Roiland wasn't part of the studio anymore, so I got to have the less guilt, and it was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Rick and Morty like humor is not for everyone, but it is quite a fun time if you just want a little silly 10-hour game to play.
Then there were a couple of more announcements. The first one was Saga Frontier 2 Remastered. It has new events and more characters. It's, a remaster of Saga Frontier 2. You can transfer stats between like the playable characters, which I thought was really cool. And it has new bosses after the main story, and it's already out. You can pay money for it and play it right now.
Ooh.
Saga is one of those series that has existed way longer than I thought and has like a million entries, right?
Yeah, I think I even own some and I've never actually played them.
It's like the Atelier series and
yes, that's exactly
Trails,
what I was thinking of.
Trails?
Yeah, both of which I have bought like games of and haven't played them. Not because I don't want to, but because when there's like so many of a thing, and you're like, I'm going to invest time and energy into this, and you just never do.
I mean, there's only so much like time you have to play these really long RPGs, right?
I know, but then I start to go on like a tangent in my head. I don't know if it's like the anxiety speaking, but I'm like, what if I die and I never get to play all these games? So I'm like, I must buy and play games, and then I just end up with piles of games that have solved the wrapper on them, or Steam games that I've never, like, say, played 0 hours.
Yeah. You don't even have the like, you played this most recently. It's just, it still says purchased this date because it hasn't been interacted with since then. I've got a couple hundred of those.
At least I'm not alone. Makes me feel less guilty.
The next announcement, this one was very exciting because I love these games. Monument Valley 1, 2, and 3 are coming to Switch.
Oh, yeah.
The first two on April 15th, 2025, and the third one in the summer of this year. The third one is especially exciting to me because previously the only way you could play it is through Netflix.
Oh, it's one of those.
It's one of those.
Ah. I knew they had some exclusives or, because I have Netflix and I have it on my iPad. I'm like, what are these games? What's going on? And I've never actually played any of them.
You could play, there's like a Civilization game that's on Netflix as well.
Whoa.
That like when you start up Netflix, you get the banner of footage playing sometimes. And sometimes it's just like Civilization 6, probably.
Oh, the only games that kept popping up were like episodes, and it was like, will this girl date this guy? Play the game and find out. And I'm like, no. No, thank you.
I also got some Bloons Tower Defense 6.
Oh.
A game I've spent like 140 hours playing on Steam, so no, I don't need to play it again through Netflix, thank you.
Maybe I need to give Netflix a chance.
But it is definitely cool that it's leaving the Netflix exclusivity mines and coming to
Yes.
Switch. I
Yes.
will be curious to see, like, obviously I know the Switch has a touchscreen, but I will be curious to see if it does have good controller controls, because it is a very touchscreen centered game. And I hope it makes the transition well, because I love these games. The Monument Valley 1 is genuinely, like, pretty, like, it's up there for one of my favorite games.
I've not played them, but for some reason they're always the games that like I've worked in like bars and retail situations. It's always the game where someone comes up to me and goes, I love these games. What other games should I play? You know, someone that's not in our in the depths of our nerdiness. And I'm like, it was like quite hard to kind of steer them in the right direction because I'm like, ooh. Besides Stardew Valley. But no, I need to check them out at some point. I do like the art, the aesthetic.
Weird, like, sort of kind of perspective based, like, geometry puzzle games. Have you ever heard of Manifold Garden?
The name rings a bell.
It's on Switch, which is where I played it.
Oh.
And it's like a first person, like, perspective-y puzzle game with, like, really weird, like, geometry and architecture and stuff. And it's genuinely very good, and I recommend it.
Like Captain Toad? Like, I have the Lego one that was kind of like that. What was that one called again? Lego Brick something. I mean, there's so
doesn't
many.
exactly narrow it down.
No, it does not. But there is a Lego game that I think originally was like a Apple exclusive.
Yeah, those little, like, mini puzzle diorama things. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on Steam.
I know that game.
So I
do. I know what you're talking about.
Right, cool. I wasn't just making it up. I have them. They're part of my not played games on Steam. But I've not played. I've just said that I've not played them.
I don't think it's online anymore, but I wrote a review of Manifold Garden for 100 Word Game Reviews. R.I.P.
Oh.
I love that community. Oh, hey, this one's in all caps, so it should be exciting. The next game is Everybody's Golf Hot Shots.
Oh.
It's a silly looking golf game with, like, weird modes. I do love a golf game.
Yeah.
And it's got, like, you know, local I think it's got some multiplayer modes and, like, weird challenges with holes that, like, have tornadoes and stuff. It looks wacky fun. And it's coming out sometime in 2025. Then the next one is Marvel Cosmic Invasion, a beat 'em up that had really, really good pixel art. You can make a team of 2 heroes, like normal and then support. You can switch between them, and it's just a beat 'em up. It looked pretty fun.
Yeah.
Holiday 2025.
I think it's the same publisher as that Shredder's Revenge.
That would make sense.
Can't remember the name off the top of my head. But I'm sure it is, and their pixel art is always like amaze balls. So yeah, I was like, this is my cup of tea.
It is cool because we did get, like, the Marvel vs. Capcom, like, Legacy collection recently.
Yeah.
That had some of the, like, the X-Men beat 'em up games in it as well. So it's cool to see them actually making a new one of these.
Yeah. And there's just been, like, fun Marvel games generally lately. Like, I play some Marvel Rivals, and it's a good time. No, it's very cool. Very, very cool. They just need to port Captain America and the Avengers and the SNES, which was one of my childhood games. And then I'll be happy. And every time you die, Captain America goes, no! And you die a lot because it's really, really hard. And I've been, like, praying for it to be on the NSO library, and it never has. Maybe it will soon, because there's lots of Marvel stuff on Switch now. Yay.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing like current gen ports of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
Ultimate Alliance 3 was on Switch and was also bad. But 1 and 2 are really fun. I recently tracked down a PC copy and have been playing the first one again. And it's been a lot of fun.
I forgot those existed, but I have like the box art like very clearly in my mind right now.
It is wild. Like, I was talking to my friends about this last week, how like I played Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 like before the MCU like started,
Oh yeah.
basically. And so my first exposure to a lot of these characters was like through that game. So I was like, huh, they call her the Black Widow in this game. So why is she just Black Widow in the movies?
Oh yeah.
And then like the Nick Fury in those games is white. And then in the movies, he's played by Samuel L. Jackson. So I was also a little confused.
It's kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad thing, but it's like interesting that there's like kids that the MCU is their Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And I guess it is kind of games for us because my mom was a DC nerd, so all the comics in my house were all like Killing Joke and Long Halloween and just Dark Knight and every Batman comic that's ever been released. So I didn't. I think, yeah. Other than the Sam Raimi like Spider-Man stuff, I guess I also got a lot of my Marvel stuff in games as well. Interesting.
Hey, this is the one we were talking about earlier. It's a franchise. I guess it's only a franchise now. Now that there's a second one. But hey, remember Tomodachi Life?
Oh yeah.
Because they announced Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. And I was genuinely shocked to see how many people are excited for this. Because
Right.
I got the impression that it was just sort of like a Sims with Mii's, but with like 1/8 of the features.
Right. I also thought, like, I knew it had a big following, but I also always thought it was a bit odd because there didn't seem that much to them when I saw friends playing them.
Yeah.
And I never understood. Like, I enjoyed, what was that little Mii app that kind of was like a rubbish version of Tomodachi Life? And you could, like, leave.
Miitopia?
Yeah. It was yeah, it was like a smartphone app and you could leave questions and make your Mii's on it and you had a little room. But it was really boring. And I was like, this is like a slimmed down version of it. Like, what is the actual games like? But yeah, I don't quite understand the appeal myself.
I mean, if nothing else, this trailer showed off that it has like a really goofy sense of humor, which is something I always appreciate.
Yeah.
But yeah, people were like partying in the streets for this game. And I'd love to know, like, if anyone out there is a big fan, like, hit me up on Blue Sky or I guess in the YouTube comments, assuming everything goes well. And let me know more about Tomodachi Life, because I never played it. But I'd love to know more.
Yeah. I look forward to the inevitable Peanut Butter Gamer review.
Yeah. We'll have to wait until 2026 to actually play this, though, so still plenty of time. And then the final announcement from this Direct was a new mobile phone app, Nintendo Today. It is an app with daily news updates that has news updates on the Nintendo Switch 2 and also other things. I guess they got fed up with being on Twitter, and haven't we all? And decided to cut out the middleman and just bring us the news directly to our phones. it is weird that like I downloaded it to see like what's going on.
Hmm.
Like when you connect, you have to connect it to your Nintendo account,
Yeah.
obviously, and then you set it to like, okay, I want to display like I want it themed like one of these franchises, and there were like 4 or 5 options. And then I want to hear a lot of stuff about this specific series. So it's like I set it to Kirby because I love Kirby, and so the quote unquote news updates about Kirby have been, can you guess the name of this copy ability? News.
It's another marketing outlet. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I use the Pikmin theme. Um, yeah, it's. I guess it's handy for my job.
Yeah.
And it was quite funny because it you could well, I mean, I was going to say you could kind of guess. I won't give it away, but you could kind of guess the Switch 2 launch because before the direct even happened, because all the like little calendar marks stopped just before the launch date.
And it was also wild, like the day like that this app launched, or like the next day, there were already like little teaser things for the Switch 2 Direct of things that they previously just hadn't shown off. There was like a 3D motion graphic of like the Joy-Cons that you could look at and stuff. And they were showing the C button in like more detail than they'd ever had
Yeah,
before the Direct and stuff.
it's very weird.
Yeah. And the first piece of actual news that they shared on there was a release date for the live action Legend of Zelda movie, that being the 26th of March 2027. We talked about this Blast for the Past, episode 232, in
Wow.
November of 2023 when they announced it was like in production. As a reminder, the people currently attached at that point were Wes Ball as the director, who directed the Maze Runner movies, and the writer is Derek Connolly, writer of such classic movies as the Jurassic World trilogy and Monster Trucks.
There's also a producer attached who's not a cool person, which makes me sad.
Was it Avi Arad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, I kind of wanted an animated Zelda movie. Just give
Yeah.
the rights. Just give the rights to Studio Ghibli, and it would be like incredible. But
Yeah.
the fear is real. I don't know. The Super Mario movie ended up being really fun, but that was animated, so it kind of
Yeah.
didn't feel as jarring. And I
don't
guess,
Know why they want it to be live action.
yeah,
Because, like, maybe, like, they were chasing the success of those live action Disney remakes, but those aren't exactly successful anymore. Like, the
Well,
Snow White one was a massive bomb.
yeah, but they still make like a bomb to. They still make a ton of profit though.
Well,
like-
the Snow White one didn't even make its production budget back.
No, but like the Lion King live action is one of the highest grade. It's like top 5 highest grossing movies of all time for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
I have thoughts on the Snow White one and that people were harsh without watching it. But anyway, yeah, it's very weird. Although there were people fan casting, as people do, and they wanted Hunter, to the actress from Euphoria, and I'm like, hell yeah, she is freaking cool. She's also in is she in Death Stranding too? She's doing something with Kojima. Might be Death Stranding too. She just looks. She looks like ethereal. Like, so she could pass as Princess Zelda, like, just normally. And she's a really fantastic actress, so I would be all for that. But it'd be interesting because Link doesn't speak. So
Yeah. Well, Not unless you don't count the cartoon
Uh, but yeah.
or the CDI games.
Yeah. Good point. If they did, what Zelda game do you think would work best as a film? I can't remember if I asked this before.
Having played a shockingly low number of Zelda games,
yeah, I forgot
my
that.
frame of reference is quite limited. But off the top of my head, like they probably are going to do either Ocarina or Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. Probably Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think it's going to be Breath of the Wild related or inspired, but a Wind Waker movie would be super amazing because it's already very like. But again, that would work well animated. So, or like
if you want to go for like the one that can translate best to a real quote unquote realistic movie, Twilight Princess maybe.
Yeah, you could have a
just
CGI
purely based on
Midna.
art style.
Yeah, or I know you don't like it, but you could do a stop motion one. That'd be kind of cool, actually. Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm like, it's obviously aimed toward. It's like Super Mario movie. It's not for us technically.
Yeah.
Nintendo is for everyone. Yes. Games are for everyone, yes. But the audience is generally still, even as a live action is going to, unless it gets announced that it's an 18 film, which is not going to happen, it's going to be aimed towards little kids. So even if I don't like it, I'm glad that kids, like if I had a Zelda movie as a kid, which we technically did, because that film Legend, that 80s Tim Curry movie is allegedly meant to be based off Zelda. Anyway, if we had, like every time I watch the Super Mario movie, I'm like, if this was the Mario movie that we had when I was little, it would have been my favorite movie of all time. I'm glad it's going to exist, even if it's not for me. But at the same time, I'm very, very, very anxious.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not. I hope it doesn't suck.
I'm hoping it doesn't go the way of a Minecraft movie, which, fun fact, is the full name of that movie.
Yeah, although I've heard people that like that for just appreciating its silliness, because they could do Have you seen
But by which I mean is I hope they play it relatively straight.
Yes,
because like the Minecraft movie is very silly, and I kind of don't want that for the Zelda movie.
Oh yeah. Have you seen the Dragon Quest movie?
I have not.
So there's like. Well, there probably is a few Dragon Quest movies. There's like one from a few years ago where it's based on, I want to say, Dragon Quest 4, the one that was in the SNES. And it's like straight up just a remake. It's straight up just the story of the game. And this really beautiful, like, it's animated, like 3D animated film. Gorgeous film.
Yeah. It's the Purple Turban one, right?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
And then it does like a meta thing where it's actually like an adult playing like a VR thing. Like and it actually was kind of, at first I was like, I just wanted the story. But I'm like, huh. And because it was to play in with the anniversary and like it was talking about nostalgia and stuff, and I was like, huh, that's kind of cool. So they might do, because this is like the Barbie movie. They might do like a meta. Somebody goes into a Zelda game, but
I kind of don't like. I feel like that's too easy. You know, that's just happened a lot recently, and I just want it to be like straight up just a good Zelda movie.
They should get the who did the D&D movie?
Oh yeah,
that'd be
great.
Yeah, that would work. I could see that working. But yeah, it'll be. Well, I guess we'll talk about it when it comes out.
Yeah, stay tuned in 2 years.
Oh, might be dead by then. And if I am,
you'll come back to be on the podcast and also float in the movie theater to watch it.
Yeah, I'll be like
as a ghost,
like Dampé in the Graveyard in Ocarina of Time. give you a hook shot, and then be on my merry way.
The only fan cast that I thought about while you were talking is, I think, okay, I'm gonna do my best to pronounce her name. Saoirse Ronan.
Saoirse. Oh no. Yes, Irish actress.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think she would make a pretty good Zelda.
Yeah.
She's really good.
Yeah. They
It's
might want
probably just gonna be
somebody-
like Tom Holland as Link or something.
Well, I think they're all like might be a little bit too old because Link and Zelda are meant to be like teenagers. Maybe
Yeah.
that. I mean, I would rather somebody with the acting experience who's in their mid-30s, but yeah, they might go with someone younger. Or maybe it'll be Chris Pratt in every role.
No. Jack Black as Ganondorf.
No, it's gonna be that. Please, no. You've said it now.
But
You
yeah.
put that into the world. It's gonna happen, and I'm gonna be really upset.
Yeah, I will take personal responsibility if that happens. All right. Yeah, so keep an eye on that when it comes out in 2 years. So more on that develops. More on that as it develops, I suppose. All right, we're an hour into this recording, and we've gotten to the big kahuna topic of the episode.
Yay!
A 60-minute long Switch 2 Direct. I mean, I will say right off the bat, I basically never watch these live. I did watch the Switch 2 Direct live because I wanted to be sure that if pre-orders went available the same day, which they did,
Yes.
I would be around to do one of those. And so I was not only like writing notes in this notes document, but also like live blogging it in the Game Podular Discord server, which you can find on our website. And so I was like basically keeping 2 different notes at the same time, and it was very fun, but also very stressful.
So we were very similar on that day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just been like most of our week. Like the most of the past 7 days has just been devoted to this console. And here we are talking about it even more to get our hot takes.
Yeah. Do you you have yours though, yeah? Well, not
I do have
physically.
my pre-order. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say I did not order the Mario Kart bundle
Oh.
because I did, have to save money for this,
Yes.
and it cost more than I was expecting.
Ah.
And I did also want to get a Pro Controller with it because I mean, I guess I haven't tried the new Joy-Cons yet, but I did not like using the Joy-Cons on the original Switch, so I got a Pro Controller as well, and that was like the extra $50 on top of that for the Mario Kart bundle was out of my reach.
Do you not have a you have an 8-bit Dual Ultimate C controller though, don't you?
I do, but it's a wired one.
I would have just bought one of them because they're cheap. I think they're cheaper. But anyway, yeah, no, I bought it outright, and I bought the Mario Kart bundle, and now I have no money.
Yeah.
And it just so
We'll talk about the pricing later,
Yeah.
but oofa doofa.
I know, and it just so happened because next month is my mum's birthday, my fiance's birthday, my father-in-law's birthday, my brother-in-law's birthday, all in the same month. So like
They're all going to buy Switch 2s for each other.
my savings, and I've never had savings before, and I quite liked having them, and now I'm like, oh, bye. I hardly knew ye. So yeah, can I technically be like, look, you'll get to play the Switch 2 later? That is your present. get to play it at my house and only at my house, and then you have to go. Anyway.
Yes, let's go through this entire direct as well. Because, like we said, there was an hour, which was so rude, by the way. An hour? Are you kidding me? I do want to, before we get into it proper, I do want to emphasize again something that we talked about last episode. I have now, like, experienced firsthand how it is to, like, frantically write about this thing as you're watching it live. And all the writers who have to write, copy about this and post things to the websites they work for as the presentation is happening and get them edited and stuff. Oh my God. I could not do that. You have always had my respect, but now that I've done it firsthand, ouch, owie, not a fan. I know it's a skill and I could get better at it, but it was very stressful. And I don't know if I want to. So you have my utmost respect.
I think you could do it. You didn't have to do it. It takes practice, as any skill.
All right. First thing, they launched with Mario Kart World, the new Mario Kart game. The one in the aforementioned bundle. Mm-hmm. It features grinding and outfits. I have already seen some great fan art of specifically one of the Princess Peach ones.
Oh yeah, me too.
It is exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2. There's a time of day and weather system. I'm curious how much it'll actually matter, but I guess we'll see. It's open world. Like, you can drive between the races and, like, free roam while you're off-road. There's also a photo mode, which I always love. It introduces a new feature, Knockout Tour, which is a non-stop race with checkpoints. And if you don't make it to the next checkpoint in time, you'll be eliminated. Previously, it's a launch title, yeah. You can buy a bundle with it for $50 extra dues instead of the $90. That it would be to buy it separately. And there is a direct coming in the future with more details on the game.
Yeah. And also, it's up to 24 racers per race, which is a series first. Oh.
Yeah. It, if nothing else, was a good, like, first showcase of what the hardware could actually do.
Yes.
We have covered in previous episodes leaks about, like, the internal specs of the system. And now that, the system has been mostly revealed and is in the hands of development partners, it is clear that it is significantly stronger than the current Switch. I've seen articles comparing it to, like, a mid-tier PC, which is very impressive. And this was a good showcase for that. There were better ones later in the presentation, but we'll get to those. All right, let's talk about some specs. First off, the new Joy-Cons. C button. C is for chat. There's now an inbuilt chat function in the console. There's a microphone in the Joy-Con, which you can use to chat with people as you're playing. It basically just looked like Discord, but it's not, seemingly.
Yeah.
The audio has audio cancellation. It also works in handheld mode. There's a screen sharing option, which looks bad. Like, it seems to run at like 15 FPS.
Yeah, I don't know why they kept that in.
Well, here's the thing, right? I read an article about that literally earlier today, and apparently they're like, that is how it's supposed to look, because they don't want it to be too taxing for people with bad internet connections. So they're making it bad for everybody.
That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Because there's ways to, like, scale it. Like, streaming services do that. So you'd think it would be like a similar encoding process. No? And also Discord does that. Where, if you're like you get better specs and yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, was not a fan of that feature, or at least the way it's implemented.
yes.
You will need Switch Online to participate in like this, but it will be free until March 1st, 2026. So everyone can try it out. And it has parental controls.
Yeah.
This screen sharing can also be supplemented with the Switch 2 camera. The iToy is back, baby.
I just wish they had the window washing minigame too.
It has like background filtering just built in, which is wild. There are games that use it for like gameplay features. So yeah, it really is the iToy again. Or Kinect if you don't have back pain yet. This camera is available on launch, and it costs 60 euros at least in Europe.
It's like $59.99 here.
Yeah, okay.
But the Hori one looked a lot cooler and is cheaper.
I did see also earlier today that specific Hori one that looks like a piranha plant is lower resolution than the default Switch 2 camera,
Yeah,
which is probably why it's cheaper.
yeah. But if you already have a USB-C camera, you can just use that and not buy anything. Because I was like, oh, I want the piranha plant one, and then I realized that I had reviewed like 2 Elgato face cams, and I'm like, or I could just use those.
Yeah.
But you know, also like if you like, as long as your lighting is good, like low spec cameras can still look all right. Get a ring light and you're kind of sorted. But it's probably a good little accessory for like somebody's Christmas present or for your kid or something.
Yeah. The next feature that they wanted to show off is Game Share. This is something, hey, we sort of talked about this earlier. Games that you can play with other people even if they don't own the game. Mm-hmm. One of the first ones they showed off was the Clubhouse Games collection thing. It won't work with every game, obviously, but the games that will work with it will be getting a free update in the future. There was a longer list of those games that they showed off in the presentation, and I'm now realizing, even though I wrote it in all caps in my notes, that I did not write down the others. So apologies for that. I did rewatch this presentation. I thought I got all the holes, but I guess I missed this one. Should have bolded it, I suppose.
To be fair, it was so long that like somebody would mention that this was shown off in it, and my brain was like, did they?
Yeah.
just like my brain just switched off. So missing or forgetting things totally reasonable, I think.
Yeah. Some more specs, which, by the way, a lot of this we have covered previously on previous episodes when we were discussing leaks. But hey, it's nice to know that it's a lot of those were accurate. A 7.9-inch screen, but it is the same thickness as the Switch number 1. The screen will be a 1080p, supports up to 120 FPS, which is wild. LCD screen, no OLED, boo. But it does support HDR. The Joy-Cons attach magnetically. There's a release button because the magnet is so powerful. The SL and SR buttons are bigger, as are the sticks. You can use both Joy-Cons as a mouse, which is also very cool. Mm-hmm. There is an adjustable sound balance in the options. You get surround sound if you have headphones attached. There's a larger stand.
Spatial sound. Spatial sound.
Spatial sound.
They're different.
Yes. Good that you point that out. There's a large stand on the console that has lots of range to have it at like different angles, and it doesn't look as flimsy as the default Switch one. It has 2 USB ports, one on top, one on bottom. It has 256 gigabytes of storage, which is fine, but not as much as I would have liked. And that can be expanded with micro SD Express cards.
Yes.
Has to be Express cards. And naturally, there was a run of those on those like right after the presentation. If you try to order one online.
Oh, they're still available in
Yeah.
US and UK. They're all right. Well, it depends if you want. It depends if you want the officially licensed ones, but there's also ones that are Express cards that don't have the Mario branding on them.
Yeah.
And you can actually just buy them. You don't need to pre-order them as well. So
Yeah. The new dock has a LAN port, and when the console is in dock mode, it can support up to 4K resolution. There's a fan built into the dock for extra cooling, and it is backwards compatible with both physical and digital games, asterisk mostly. They did release a website with some information on some games that don't launch properly, or some games that do launch properly but don't function properly. And like as we previously speculated, like the Labo things won't work because the Joy-Cons are bigger, and you also can't use the Switch 2 Joy-Cons on Ring Fit Adventure, for instance.
you can technically play Ring Fit Adventure, but you'd have to connect the original Joy-Cons wirelessly. And
Which
then,
you can do.
Yeah. But then you wouldn't be able to then, like, if they were running out of juice, so you wouldn't be able to attach them to the Switch 2 to give them a quick charge. You'd need, like, the Hori charging accessory they brought out to do it. So it's fiddly.
Yeah, and I think this is somewhere later in the notes, but we might as well talk about it now. The older controllers are like mostly compatible with the Nintendo Switch 2. And I say mostly because they will connect and they will function, but obviously they won't have the Switch 2 exclusive features working for them. And you also can't wake up the console from sleep mode by pressing the home button. The NES Joy-Cons that exist will also work that way. The Super Nintendo, N64, and Mega Drive controllers will still work, as will the GameCube adapter thingy for like original GameCube controllers.
Yeah. Also, no Hall effect sticks. Sad. Me very sad.
They did, again, after the presentation, there was a statement about like they have been quote unquote, rebuilt from the ground up to try and stop the drift from happening. But correct me if I'm wrong, Hall effect is sort of the best way to do that, and they didn't.
Yeah, Hall effect. There's also TMR, which is like another type of stick that is quite similar, which they could use, but then they would have stated that, and they didn't. Like they might not get drift, but I'm like sad because, you know, it's not like even if it was like manufacturing costs would be higher, it's not like a company that big couldn't afford to like pop it in there, and it just after all the bad press from Joy-Con drift, they could have done it. They could have.
Yeah.
It's why, although technically, we don't 100% know what third-party controllers are going to be compatible yet, technically. But it's why I would always invest in, like, especially not sponsored, like 8BitDo controllers, because not only like are their big main controller is it cheaper than their Switch Pro controllers, but they have Hall effect sticks, and they're ergonomic and their quality is really, really good. I would just hold out a little bit if you haven't got one already, in case there's like a firmware update or they do release like a upgraded one that's Switch 2 compatible specifically.
Because it is notable that the Switch 2 Pro controller does have back paddles as a default thing, which my 8BitDo controller does have. It's just like it's like the wired Xbox One controller with back paddles, the ultimate, with Hall effect sticks.
I have the pink wireless one, and it comes with like a stand, and the stand has like a little strip of like a white RGB that like glows when you plug it in.
Oh, nice.
It's very cool. But we don't 100% know if they'll be compatible. But then there is a compatibility accessory list for first party, and it says, there's mentions where it's like, this controller will work because it connects wirelessly. And I'm like, are they just talking about Bluetooth? Then, I think it'll be safe, but it's still technically speculation. But yes, also sad Hall effect sticks. Boo.
Yeah. The next thing they showed off was the Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour.
Oh, yeah.
As a software to introduce the hardware features with little tech demos and mini games and secrets. And wait, what do you mean we have to pay for it?
I know. Apparently it's like £6.
It's cheap, but
why not?
Why? Why do we have to pay for this?
Because Astro's Playroom is a tech demo on the PS5. It is essentially like Astrobot but shorter and the predecessor, and it's literally one of the best platformers I've ever played, and it was free and a tech demo.
Yeah,
they could have done that. And what was one of the most successful Nintendo games of all time? Wii Sports, and it was free.
Yeah.
Sad.
Very strange decision.
Yeah, I'll probably. Well, actually, I maybe won't get it. I don't know, but. It's just a bit.
It is, on the one hand, it is very cheap, but on the other hand, it's the principle of the thing,
It is. Because that's another thing I bet they could have done. I did hear that that apparently they didn't originally want Wii Sports to be free, and Reggie had to plead to no, make this free. But there's a thing where we work hard on these things, so they should, deserve money, which yes.
That is true.
But also, if it's a tech demo,
yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't feel great when they were like, oh, it's not, you have to pay for it. I was like, oh, okay.
About the game cards, they are the same shape, but they are red now instead of black, and they're a lot faster. They have faster data writing speeds. More notes on the game cards later, because there was some misinterpretations, shall we say.
Mm. Oh, and they still taste gross, apparently.
So I've heard, yes. So I've read.
If you've never licked a Switch game, actually do it, because it's so weird. Never thought I'd say that.
You can transfer data from one Switch console to the other with the Nintendo Ken System Transfer. That has already existed, but you can do it for Switch 2 as well. Mm-hmm. The the new Pro Controller, has the C button, the back paddles that we previously mentioned, and a 3.5mm audio jack! Hell yeah. Love to see it. I hate that phones got rid of them. I'm still mad about it to this day.
Controller, the DualSense for the PS5 still has it. To be fair, though,
double check. I think the Xbox Series X controller still has it as well.
Yeah. To be fair, though, if you have a decent gaming headset, you're going to have Bluetooth and 2.4. So, I don't, even if they did remove it on a first party controller, I don't think it'd be that of a big deal.
Yeah, I've been using wireless headphones for years because I have tripped over the cable one time too many.
Well, I guess for kids, if you want to get your kids, I wouldn't give kids an expensive gaming headset. They're going to have a under 50 quid budget pair, and they're going to be wired. So actually, it makes sense when you think about it that way.
And I do like not having to charge my headphones before I play video games. It's just another thing to have to charge to make sure you can do it,
Yeah.
Although I don't really use it, but I definitely still appreciate having the option of just plugging in a audio jack.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, they announced that the launch date is January 5th. Whee! Hey folks, editing Hilke here. Just wanted to say that the release date is June 5th, not January 5th. Had a bit of a slip of the tongue. We'd been recording for a while. Sorry about that. Back to the episode. That's pretty soon. Then they talked about that there are 3 types of games that will work on the Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo Switch 2 games, Nintendo Switch 1 games that are compatible, and Nintendo Switch 2 Edition Nintendo Switch 1 games. These are upgrades that you can buy for Nintendo Switch 1 games. The price I've seen floating around is about $20/euros. Or you can buy like the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of the older game, and that'll just... There was some misinterpretation that like people thought it was just the Switch 1 game in a download code. As far as I found, that is not the case. It will just be the full version on the cart. Asterisk. An example they gave was Mario Party Jamboree, which introduces more rumble to the controller, new mini games that use the camera, some new modes like Mario Party mode and Bowser Live mode with like motion mini games, like it is indeed the iToy, or like with mouse mini games as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Jamboree one is coming out July 24th. Other examples, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have enhanced resolution, frame rate, HDR support. They're adding Zelda notes to the Nintendo Switch app that add voice navigation to those games, which would solve one of my problems with those games. So, cool. Good for them. Still not going to play them. And you can make QR codes in Tears of the Kingdom and share your, like, contraptions with your friends.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. This was the one I was most excited for. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is getting a full, like, new additional story, as well as frame rate and graphics upgrades. Oh, I can't wait to play that game again. I love it so much. For more on why, listen to our last episode. Metroid Prime 4 will be on both Switch 1 and 2, but on the Switch 2 you can use mouse controls, and it will support 4K 60 FPS with HDR, or 1080p at 120 FPS. Those are both in docked mode. The handheld mode also has cool things that I did not write down. And Legends ZA has both versions as well, and it will have enhanced resolution and frame rates on the Switch 2, which, if it's running on the same engine as Scarlet and Violet, good. Okay.
Some of the, I don't know if it's all of them because it was very confusing. Some of the upgrade packs for the Switch 2 enhancements of Switch 1 games are included if you have a full NSO membership.
Really?
Yes.
That I didn't know or
the Zelda
forgot.
ones are, at least.
Because that's one of those things, I guess, that you just said of like, they definitely announced this during the presentation. I just wouldn't be able to know if that's true, but I believe you.
Yeah, I think you have to have the expansion pack, so you have to have the full whammy NSO subscription. But it makes sense because, well, I say it makes sense. Like, again, I keep making comparisons to the PS5, but it's kind of inevitable. Like, some PS5 games, or some games you have to pay for, like, the upgraded PS5 version, but most games, like a lot of, like, Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, if you have the PS4 copy, you just put the disc in, you will get the PS5 version for free.
Oh, nice.
And in fact, it's actually like I got when Cyberpunk came out. I waited a while, got like the physical like PS4 copy for under £20. That
Nice.
unlocked me the PS5 upgrade for free, which was cheaper than me actually buying a PS5 physical copy at the time. And a lot of these
smart.
upgrades are free. So I was kind of begrudging the fact that they were like, oh, cool, you can get these enhancements on these older Switch games, but you have to pay for it. It's like, well, how come other platforms give them away for free, but you're making me pay for it? But I know for a fact that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom should be included with the expansion pack. Maybe by now they might have
Exciting.
changed that, but it should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
Well, some other things have changed as well. All right. I don't want to spend too much time talking about this next part. I'm just going to rattle off a whole bunch of names of video games that were in this massive section. And I'm going to sort of pick out the highlights of games we actually want to talk about. But in chronological order, the games that they announced in the first party and also partner development partner section. They started with Drag X Drive, or Dragon Drive, as a mouse-controlled wheelchair basketball game. That looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
That one is summer of 2025. And then just Elden Ring, Tarnished Edition, a game I never thought I'd see on a Nintendo Switch console, but I guess like Dark Souls 1 is also on Switch, right?
Yeah,
So I guess it's not impossible.
there was an amiibo as well.
Yeah. Hades 2, less of a surprise. I read earlier today that that's going to be like a Switch 2 console exclusive for a time. Like it is coming to PC, but as far as consoles, the Switch 2 will be the first to get it. Street Fighter 6 with Street Fighter amiibos. Hey, they're still doing amiibos.
They are. There is 3 for Street Fighter 6, and there will be 5 for Tears of the Kingdom. Which is really annoying because I was like, yeah, I just finished collecting every Zelda amiibo. And they're like, oh, there's 5 more. And I'm like, oh. And cards. There's Street Fighter 6 amiibo cards. 26. 26? 22. 22. Don't know why I pulled that number out of my head. 22.
Then the next one was Daemon Ex Machina Titanic Scion, which looked like a cool mech game. I like a mech game. Split Fiction is going to be a launch title for the Switch 2. I've heard that game is very good. We're getting more sports games, Madden NFL and EA Sports soccer game thingy. Then boo, boo, boo. It's Hogwarts Legacy. Boo. Enough said about that. Tony Hawk 3 and 4 collection featuring Bikini Bottom. Right at the end, in summer of 2025. Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition, and also from IO Interactive, Project 007, a new James Bond game. Bravely Default HD, love to see it.
Oh, but the first few seconds of that reveal looked like Final Fantasy 9, and then I was raging. And I wasn't the only one, because I was like, oh, it's Garnet. No, it's not.
Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. Glad to see more Yakuza games on Nintendo Switch. I guess that first attempt did pretty well.
It's the best one, too.
A new Hyrule Warriors game called Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment that's set before the events of Tears of the Kingdom, or as my notes say, the evens of Tears of the Kingdom. I realized that day that I have never actually played... Well, that's not true. I played like the 3DS port. Sorry, the new 3DS port of the first Hyrule Warriors game and was like, this is fun, but I need a bigger screen.
Ah, well, it is on the Switch.
It is, and I have since put it on my wish list.
Ah, and so is Age of Calamity.
Yeah.
Which is very fun and actually made me cry. So,
speaking of games that make people cry, Deltarune chapters 1 to 4
so excited.
coming to the Switch 2 on launch day.
So excited. And everything. So that's good. But also I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Then we're getting Borderlands 4 on the Switch 2. Yay. It was like a real tonal shift of, ooh, it's Deltarune, yay! Hi, it's Randy Pitchford from Gearbox.
Yes.
No! We're getting Civilization 7 with mouse controls, which should be pretty wild for a console. WWE 2K and NBA 2K. We're not done with sports games yet. Or sports entertainment games, if you want to be pedantic about it. Survival Kids. Oh, yeah, this is where the stream sort of had a little hiccup and the video just stopped happening. So after that, it was Enter the Gungeon 2, which at least we still got narration for that one, because the next one was Starseeker Astroneer Expeditions, which if you were watching it live, you literally only heard music. So my original version of this note of my notes said some fantasy game ? And that even that was wrong because this is a sci-fi game. That one's 2026. Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition coming out launch day. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is coming to Switch too. Kunitsu Gami Path of the Goddess is a launch title. Random Silk Song, Hollow Knight Silk Song, just showed like a little bit of gameplay, and it had a release date of 2025.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'll see, similarly to Metroid Prime 4, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yep.
Then, hey, didn't we just talk about this game? It's Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar.
Hey.
August 27th. And there was Goodnight Universe 2025. 2 Point Museum, also 2025. Wild Hearts S, July 25th, 2025. That's like EA's Monster Hunter ripoff.
Oh.
That has more like you can build like structures out of bamboo to incorporate into the hunts. I will admit, it got like there was a period of like half a week where I was just okay. They've announced the new Monster Hunter, but not a release date yet. And I really want to play Monster Hunter. Am I gonna buy Wild Hearts? And then I didn't. I just replayed World instead.
Of course. We're backing up all your hours.
Yeah, I'm at 400 now.
Whoa.
Where were we? Right. Oh, hey, another one. Hey, it's Witchbrook again.
Ah.
Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S is a launch title. Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, also a launch title. Marvel Cosmic Invaders, hi, nice to see you again. Holiday 2025. Star Wars Outlaws, that's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
It's a Ubisoft's Star Wars game. Hey, here's a franchise we saw recently, Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening Complete Edition.
Yeah.
The older ones of those went to NSO 2 weeks ago.
I swear if they're trying to make this a big thing over here, we better get Conquest. Come on,
Yeah.
Conquest Remaster.
Then we had Fast Fusion, which is a game I believe we've talked about on a previous episode. It's sort of like an F-Zero like.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hey, it's Shadow Labyrinth again. Still July 18th. Also, it's Raidou Remastered again, June 19th. Also, it's No Sleep for Kaname Date again, still July 25th. This is what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, we just saw, like, most of the, like, so many of these games already.
Yep.
Reanimal. This one looked interesting. I got, like, Inside vibes from it.
Yeah.
It's 2025. You'll be able to play Fortnite on launch.
I really hope it runs good. It probably won't.
Does it run poorly on Switch 1?
It does for me, but that could be my internet. And you can't play it natively on the Steam Deck either. So,
Oh, yeah, because it's Epic Store, of course.
yeah, you have to run that or GeForce Now, and I have never been able to get that running. Like, it doesn't look like It doesn't look like the game chat footage that you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So if it runs pretty good, then I probably will play way more Fortnite. So we shall see.
Then there was Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer, which also went on NSO recently, an older Ridge Racer game. That's also on launch. The first time we've seen Professor Layton in the new world of Steam in a while. Nice to see you again. Oh, look, it's Tamagotchi Plaza again. Yay. Human Fall Flat 2. This next one was wild. This was like when they were... Okay, it's The Dusk Bloods, which is a new FromSoft game. It is a console exclusive, and it is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026. I, like, when we were in the live blogging channel on the Discord, it was like... First, it was just like a hat on the ground and like an old man. So I was like, Indiana Jones?
Oh.
And then it zoomed out more and it looked very like gothic. And I was like, New Castlevania again?
I was in my work Slack and I went, this would be really funny if it was a Bloodborne remake.
Yeah.
And then I was not like, I was far off, but you know, still in the area.
Yeah, because it's sort of like a steampunky Bloodborne-ish game.
Yeah.
And also you play as a vampire, seemingly.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I'm not a FromSoft fan, but it is extremely wild to see them embrace the Nintendo Switch 2 by making this exclusive to the console.
Yeah. My partner is a big FromSoft nerd. I don't understand it. He's like platinumed all of them and complete them in like a few hours. I watch it and I'm just like, and then he was like, "Oh, was there anything decent shown?" And I showed him this, and he was like, "Oh."
Yeah.
So I'm annoyed that I have to wait, but I'll probably be buying it as a gift for him at some point.
Nice. Seskara from Game Podular Unfocused is also a big FromSoft fan.
Yes.
They played like Shadow of the Erdtree, like a good chunk of it before the big like rebalancing patch happened.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good episode. I recommend checking out that episode of Game Podular Unfocused if you haven't already. Then the last two were really big ones. Kirby Air Riders.
Yeah.
A new Kirby racing game. I want to shout out my friend Max Mariner over on Blue Sky. I say he shared this on Blue Sky, but he made this prediction on Twitter of that he would really like that his like wish list for the new Switch is a new Kirby Air Riders game.
Wow.
And he made that like either last year or 2023. So like, good on you. You were right. Hell yeah. Directed by Sakurai as well.
Yeah. I'm hoping this brings down the price of the first one because it's like one of the most expensive GameCube games to get secondhand.
Maybe I'm more afraid it'll bring it up, to be honest, because like now it's in more conversation and so the demand is higher.
Oh,
because this is a new one. It's not just a remake.
I know. Yeah, you're probably right. Oh, it's like I've seen it go for like £200.
Gross. And then the last new game that they showed off was Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah.
July 17th. That's like a little over a month after the console launches. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This game looked great. Like destructive. Like I saw it described as like Red Faction Gorilla, but it's Donkey Kong.
I like that. I really want this like so bad. So bad.
I'm way more excited for Bonanza than I am for Mario Kart World. Like Mario Kart World's going to be good and fun and fine, But Bonanza, that's the first big one that I'm like jonesing for.
Yeah, same. And I like that. Some people don't like it, but I like the Donkey Kong redesign that kind of looks like the older games. Not that I don't like the Rare Donkey Kong. I love Rare and what they have done. Slash, I still love Rare games. But the fact that he looks a bit more like retro is really cool and makes
Yeah.
sense because they did that for the model for Donkey Kong in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah.
So I
And
wouldn't
they're also doing it for his model in Mario Kart World as well.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised because I'm pretty sure I don't know if it was I can't remember if it was mentioned, but I'm pretty sure they had like planned to do like a Donkey Kong movie as well at some point because they want to do a whole Mario universe type deal, right? So it's quite clever to like cement this version in kids' heads.
Yeah.
This is your Donkey Kong now.
And that was the last major game that was announced. They also announced that the expansion pack is being, well, expanded, I suppose, and is going to start including GameCube games on the Nintendo Switch 2, including Wind Waker!
Yay!
Also, the first three are going to be Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero GX, which is going to have online play.
Very cool.
More will be added down the line, of course. I was very happy to see Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness on that list. A game that I have heard is not very good, but I have wanted to play for like 20 years,
And
regardless.
And it's another one that's really expensive secondhand.
Yeah.
I'm annoyed because I have Pokemon Colosseum, which was the first one, like in my collection still to this day. But I'm like, of course I have the cheaper one.
Yeah.
But also Soul Calibur 2 is wild because that is literally one of the best fighting games of all time.
Yeah.
But
I played the PS2 version. It's very good.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Is I actually prefer the original Xbox version because to anyone that doesn't know, who also maybe is not as old as us, it was like he actually was in the PS2 one, Link was in the GameCube one, and Spawn was in the Xbox one. And I
Yeah.
really liked playing Spawn, but obviously this is going to be Link, not Spawn. But
Yeah.
it's still cool.
Wasn't Link... No, Soul Calibur 4 was 360 generation.
Yeah.
Because Soul Calibur 4 had like Darth Vader on PS3, I think.
Yeah. I miss Soul Calibur so much. We need a new one.
Well, I mean, like, obviously I don't want to read too much into it, but the fact that they're adding Soul Calibur 2 might indicate something.
It could.
Because, like, we did get Ridge Racer and Nobunaga's Ambition onto NSO right before they announced new ones. Well,
Yeah.
new, I suppose, in air quotes, because it's like a port and a remaster. But, like,
Yeah. Well, it's definitely clever, isn't it? Like, pop these older games on, record how many people are playing it and what the kind of public consensus is, and then you've pretty much can see like, oh, well, if we release a new one, we have this audience already to
yeah, it's like
advertise it to.
very low effort marketing data gathering.
Yeah. Also, I just really want a new Soul Calibur because I like swords. Well,
And all of these GameCube games will come with higher resolution options and also remappable controls, which is very nice. And you could buy a GameCube style Pro controller on launch for 70 euros, which is less than the normal Pro controller was when I bought it. This controller is going to sell out immediately, I think.
yeah, it's cheaper. Well, it's $58.99 over here. It's a bit cheaper.
Speaking of price, they did not announce one during the stream.
Wonder why.
Yeah, thanks, U.S. government. More on that in a minute. But the prices that I have found are £395.99, $449.99 US dollars, and €469.99.
Ooh.
That last one is brutal.
Yeah, you got the short hand there. What?
Yeah.
Because I because of all the rumors and stuff, this is the kind of the price that I expected it to be. Because there was people saying that it was going to be for us between 350 and 400. So I kind of, I I was already mentally prepared for this. But wow,
Yeah, I was expecting, based on very little information, that it had to be more expensive than the Switch 1,
yes,
you know? But I was
inflation.
expecting like 400 euros, and like the extra 70 on top of that was a bitter pill to swallow, not gonna lie.
Yeah, but it's weird because sometimes euro and pounds aren't that too dissimilar, so that does suck.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like and it's not like the euro and dollar were pretty similar until very recently.
Yeah.
So seeing that their number is lower is also a bit brutal. Although, I guess we could talk about that part now.
Hmm.
They did announce that the official pre-order date was going to be April 9th, even though a lot of people have already been able to pre-order it since the direct. Except in the US,
And
and
Canada now.
also as of this morning, Canada as well.
Yeah.
Because noted, hang on, I'm trying to say this without swear words because we try to keep it PG.
Stinky orange man.
Noted big dumb idiot
Or that.
Donald Trump decided, hey, let's put tariffs on the entire world, including, fun fact, on a country that is literally uninhabited. Yeah. And so the pre-order dates of those are currently up in the air, although the release dates so far have not been affected. But the tariff situation coming out of the US has made things very complicated. Okay, we try not to get too political on this show, but what a terrible idea.
Well, like life is politics, so everything is political. But also to anyone that's like, I don't care about politics. I just want to live my life and like chill out. And it's like literally affects how expensive every single thing in your life is and how you have access to those things and whether or not you can afford to live on the things around you and if your family can afford or have rights and things. So, and it includes the price of your video games and your hardware
And
and
your food.
yep, and whether or not we're going to have another global recession. Yeah. Fun
Whoopee.
times. I've paid for my, like I mentioned earlier, I've paid for my Switch already, and I'm like, please
Same.
don't give me an email being like, here, you owe us a bit more, because the whole world, it's not just America, everything's going to be it's affecting not just the gaming industry, it's affecting the board game and like independent board game people as well. It's everybody. So, it's going to be a lot harder to be into games right now
Yes.
in the foreseeable future.
And part of that is also that Nintendo Switch 2 games, by and large, are going to be a lot more expensive. Again, there was one thing going around that made it seem like this was a worldwide thing. Apparently, it's not going to be like this in America, but in Europe, at least, a copy of Mario Kart World is going to cost 90 euros if you want the physical and 80 euros if you want the digital version. That is a lot of money. They have made it clear that this is not like the default thing going forward. Like Bonanza is 10 euros cheaper for both, but they are adopting a flexible pricing structure.
Yeah, it's expensive here too. I think it's like 75.99. But it's I saw some people be like, well, it's understandable, like the games are going to developers, and yet yes, but also it's Nintendo games don't get decent discounts because
Yeah.
they have the dreaded fabled Nintendo tax. And even in
Yeah.
like Black Friday, like one of the biggest sales events in the world, which isn't just America anymore, it's online for everybody, you can
Yep.
maybe see £10 off, which is
Ooh.
nothing. Whereas, again, don't want to compare, but it is, I will say it's my favorite current gen console right now. PS5 game, if there's a brand new PS5 game I want, if I wait even a month, I could see up to 20 quid off that. And that's for physical, something I can keep, which is why my PS5 game collection, like physically, is ridiculous. I can even afford to import games that don't have physical copies in this country. But I am like quite concerned about my access. I mean, to Switch games.
Yep. It
Which
is going to
sucks.
price a lot of people out. Like the default price for a Switch game previously was around 60 euros, and it being 20 to 30 euros more expensive potentially per game is, yeah, very frustrating. And it's like it's going to price a lot of people who are like living paycheck to paycheck out of being able to afford Switch games.
Yeah.
I do want to say a couple of things here. One, it is true that the price of games has for a long time not been adjusted for inflation, but it is also true that wages have also not been adjusted for inflation.
Yes.
Both of those things can be true simultaneously.
Yeah. I think I always get, I mean, I talk about this a lot, but I always get annoyed when people get annoyed at people talking about pricing. I think there's a nuanced way to do it. Because
Yeah.
I had somebody in Blue Sky who, you know, when your posts accidentally kind of escape your kind of little group of
On
social-
Tumblr, we call it breaking containment.
Yes. That happened, and I had some weird, very weird responses, like something normal for Twitter, but not Blue Sky. And someone was like very much angry at me that the prices of Switch 2 games were high. And it's like, why did you buy Switch 2? You're like contributing, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, mate, I need one for my job.
Yeah.
And also, I saved up for one, but also I can still be annoyed, and you know, I'm not, and I wasn't encouraging it. And I feel like I quite regularly talk about growing up as a Nintendo fan, being working class, and like I think that entertainment, not all entertainment, but I think that entertainment and in games doesn't necessarily have to be a luxury. Entertainment should be something that somebody has a right to, just like reading a book, and it can be. And so when it gets more expensive and people can't afford it, I get upset because I feel like people are missing out on experiences that if they want to have them, that they deserve to have. Not everyone, doesn't mean that everybody deserves to have every game ever just because they want it. It means that there should be a relatively, you know, good amount of access to that. And so when things are, especially for a console that's aimed towards kids, right? Because I bet you there's loads of adults who are like, oh, I'm going to get a Switch 2 for my kids' Christmas this year. And when they saw
They were
the
expecting
price,
like 350 to 400, and they were like, "Oh,
yeah,
no."
because if like, and they're like, we can't do that because, and that's really sad and a bummer. And yeah, it's kids. We're all gonna live, okay? It's not like we need it like food or water, but it's still sad, and it's still there's like an essence of. Even though I am literally surrounded by Mario's face and merch all around me right now, and I have like a million Game Boys behind me, and my Switch is nearby, and my first word, and if you don't believe me, you can even DM my mum on Blue Sky. My first word was Nino, which meant Nintendo. I literally have a photo of me as a baby playing an NES. Like, Nintendo was in my DNA. But I can say that a lot of the Switch 2 stuff feels very anti-consumer, and some of it has not been sitting right with me. And the pricing for the games is a major contributing factor to that, I have to say.
I've seen some discussions from people who are more tuned into this kind of thing than I am, talking about how, like, it is true that development costs for video games have gone up. And so it is not unexpected that the price
Yes.
for video games broadly has gone up. But, like, that does mean that, I mean, need is a strong word in this case, I guess, but like the pricing of games going up kind of needed to happen. But that comes with some caveats, right? Like a lot of the, like one of the main reasons that development costs have gone up is there is just, based on everything I've read, a serious amount of mismanagement in a lot of game studios. And that costs, like, that adds potentially millions of extra dollars of development time onto games that didn't need to happen if the management was better, because there's executive meddling from publishers and all that kind of stuff that we know happens. And also, like, I'm going to use the C word here, but this is also just kind of like a symptom of capitalism, right? Like, if we want games to get cheaper, there's only, like, you could try a consumer boycott, I suppose, but it's probably not going to do much. Like, the best way that we can make games cheaper is, unfortunately, completely restructure our economic system. And that's not something we're going to be able to do overnight. So the most actionable thing you can do is get involved with, like, labor organizations and try to fight for better, like, workers' rights, because that would be, like, one of the first steps needed to, like, once workers have more rights, they cannot be exploited as much under capitalism, which will give them the freedom to try and change the system more and more. Like, the idea of the glorious capitalistic revolution that's going to burn down the system and change it overnight, that's just not going to happen, right? That's just basically the leftist rapture. Like, it's going to take a lot of work, it's going to take a lot of organizing, and it does need to happen, and that is the main way I think games are going to get cheaper. Apologies for the soapbox there, but it is something that I'm like moderately informed on, but I do feel like very strongly about, because I, you know, like I said earlier, I am not in a financial position. Like, I could pre-order the Switch 2. I did have to save up for it, but the cost being higher than expected meant that I couldn't afford the Mario Kart bundle, for instance. And so, like, I'm, like, financially speaking, I don't want to get too into it. Like, I'm doing okay, but I'm not just, like, dropping $400 €400 on a new console, no problem, you know? And so it is something that affects so many people in the world, and I feel very strongly about.
Yeah. I mean, I was once homeless and had to store my N64 games in a stolen shopping trolley. So I'm a bit better off now and have a roof over my head. But, you know, even though I write about these kind of things for a living, I can't pay for them and it not to be a big deal. So
Yeah. As long as we're talking about serious stuff as well, I wanted to clear up some misconceptions about a thing called game key carts that were not shown off in the presentation themselves, but talked about afterwards. Game key carts are a type of game cart which will basically function kind of like the CD of a PC game, in that you put it into your console and then it will download the game from the internet. It will not have the full game on the cart. It will sort of be like a physical DRM kind of thing. There was some hubbub about this, people being very afraid that this was going to be how all Switch 2 games were going to be going forward. That's not true. That is not the case. This is going to be a thing that it is up to the publisher if they want to buy the more expensive carts to put the full game onto it, or use a cheaper key cart. I will say, don't be surprised to see a lot of them, especially with the tariff situation in the US. They are also still tradable. Like, they have to be in your console to play the game, but I haven't found anything that suggests that you can't sell them or trade them to someone else. They're not bound to the account. They're not bound to the console. Putting it into a different console does mean you have to download it, which if you have a data cap is frustrating, but it's not that degree of DRM. They will also be labeled when you buy them in the store. You'll be able to see on the box that it is a game key cart. Also, this idea isn't new. This has existed. Like, it is another frustrating thing where, like, you don't get the full game on the cart, but it's not nearly as bad as I've seen a lot of people be afraid of, and I just wanted to make it very clear what the situation is as we understand it. One thing I did want to mention that is a very positive thing, and that's sort of going back to something we were talking about in our last episode with Nintendo joining the ESA's accessibility initiative, is there's going to be a suite of accessibility options in the Switch 2 settings menu, which I went back and checked just to be sure. The Switch 1 does not have these. You will be able to change text size, remap buttons, do mono audio, and have text-to-speech menu narration.
Ooh.
We were talking in our last episode about how Nintendo joining the ESA's accessibility initiative could have just been a PR thing and that this is what they're going to leave it at. And I'm really glad that it isn't, that they are actually trying to make some strides towards more accessibility features.
Yeah. I hope they do like I know I've seen some people start to like 3D print add-ons for the Joy-Con 2 controllers because the mouse mechanics kind of opens up a kind of line of new accessibility options there. But I hope it also means we'll get a proper controller like the PlayStation Access, and I forget what the Xbox one's called.
I don't remember it either, but yeah, they both have good, if expensive, accessible controllers.
Yeah.
All right. This is normally the part of the show where we talk about the games we've been playing. This episode has been very long, so
Yes.
we're not going to do that. Instead, I just sort of wanted to get like a broad strokes. What did you think of the Switch 2 Direct overall?
Well, I don't like to say if a direct was good or bad because it's like giving a review to an advert and it feels a bit wrong.
Yeah.
I would, but it felt a bit messy. I think it wasn't as. I mean, this is the first major one that I was having to like work, so my relationship / association with it is a bit different, as opposed to if I was just watching it as a fan. I guess I don't know. I can't tell if I'm excited or I think all the pricing stuff is kind of made me feel a bit weird. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great because again, I don't like reviewing them.
Yeah.
The games look great. Do I think that the Switch 2 now is going to be as huge or as game-changing as the original Switch? Maybe not.
I don't think it can, like especially at this price point, right?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people already feeling like there's a lot of things that felt like this Wii U launch. And ever since I read that, I'm like, oh, that's maybe what I'm feeling. Because I like turned off my brain when the Wii U originally came out and just didn't really care. Because a lot of things in there felt very anti-consumer or a bit fumbled. I'm looking forward to launch. I'm playing Mario Kart because it's the only game I'll have.
Yeah.
I guess I'll probably end up playing Wind Waker the most, even though I own it. This will be the third time that I own it. I don't don't know. I'm like, I'm not like, I feel cautiously optimistic, but also like it wasn't a lot of the stuff we already knew.
Yeah.
So, and I think maybe I know there was delays, but I think maybe if this what happened last year, it might have been a bit more like, whoa. But because there was so much of it that they kind of accidentally knew about beforehand, it kind of lessened
Yeah,
the excitement a
we've
little
been
bit.
like immersed in leaks and rumors for months at this point. Like,
Even years, to be honest. Yeah.
God,
It's,
yeah. Now you
um,
mention it.
I don't know. I'm not like, oh my God, Switch 2 looks like the coolest thing ever. But I'm not like, it looks rubbish. I'm kind of like in the middle.
The Wii U comparison is interesting because if I'm remembering correctly, a big problem with the Wii U was just very unclear messaging.
Yeah.
Like, and like you, I also think this direct was a little messy, especially how a lot of like really important information on like pricing and pre-orders and stuff was not in the presentation, in some cases for good reasons. But the fact that like, we watched this 1 hour presentation and then for the next 45 minutes we were still getting news about it.
Yeah, that was not fun as a work situation where it was like
No.
having to pull up multiple. Also, I'm sorry, there was a queue to access the official Nintendo website.
Yeah.
Not to pre-order it, just to look at the website.
Yeah.
What was that about? Like, I'm so annoying. I don't. Yeah, it just feels a bit messy. Because also, like you said, they were like also so like the pricing we had to find out afterwards, and I feel like you had to like hunt for all these little bits of information.
Yeah.
Fair enough. There's like 20 developer blogs with interviews, and they go in depth, and the information is there. But it feels like you have to wade through the water to find it. And then I feel like also a lot of the Trump stuff has kind of soured it and just kind of bit a big bummer or anything.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. It's just yeah. At least, right, the games look fantastic.
Yeah.
And I love that there's a new Donkey Kong. Was I sad because I thought it was a Super Mario Odyssey sequel to begin with? Yes, but I think it looks like it could. They haven't revealed the actual studio yet because they don't like to do that for some reason until the credits roll.
Strange.
Yes, it could be the same. I don't know. It looks very Super Mario Odyssey in the best kind of way. I'm very hyped for it. But yeah, it's a bit weird. I am excited to get mine because my Switch, as I have to admit, does collect dust right now. Both of my Switches. Because, it's showing its age and we're getting to that point where all the games are now going to be Switch 2 mainly. So it'll be nice to have Nintendo games more in focus. But yeah, it just feels... Also the pricing, the Wii U, I remember being quite expensive for its time as well. I'm pretty sure. But yeah.
Well, the main thing about the Wii U comparison is the messaging around that was so messy that there were a lot of people who just didn't realize it was a new console. Like they thought it was, it's like a tablet add-on for the normal console. Okay, I don't really need that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main reasons why the Wii U sold so poorly. And I think that's the reason why they didn't want to go with like a fun, cool, weird name like Nintendo sometimes does. And this is just, it is the Switch 2. It is the new Switch. It is the better Switch. It is the sequel to the Nintendo Switch.
I'm glad they did that because
Yeah.
I worked in retail when the when the Wii U was a thing. And you did get parents going, oh, the Wii U is just an add-on, right, to the Wii. It's like, no, it's a totally different thing. And you like untech savvy parents, although luckily a lot of parents now are like millennials, so they grew up with these things, but they still exist, right? Grandmas that buy Nintendo stuff for their grandkids. So that they need to be taken into consideration. So I'm glad the naming convention is really obvious. I'm a fan of that. Like the PS6, PS7, like just give me that. I don't want a silly name.
Yeah, Microsoft.
Oh, yeah. Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S. It's so annoying.
Yeah. So like, there's no way. Like we said, I don't think there's like it's just not possible that it's going to be as big of a deal as the Switch One
No,
is, right?
no.
Like it's gonna sell really well. Like I don't think it's gonna be as nearly as big of a disaster as the Wii U is. There's like a little bit of overlap there, but it'll do very well. Like Nintendo earned a lot of goodwill with the Switch, and them capitalizing on that instead of doing the Nintendo thing of and now for something completely different does at least show a decent amount of stability. So I think like while the messaging and advertising around the Switch 2, especially like we said with all the news coming out after the presentation, has been annoying and frustrating and difficult, I don't think it's going to matter that much in the long run. And like I guess if they're really banking on people downloading this Nintendo News app, which there's going to be a lot of Switch 2 on that app, as they've said. Yeah, I mean, I guess, again, that doesn't really help, not tech-savvy people. Like, I'm not expecting, I mean, like, my mom doesn't really know much about video games, And so if she wants to get me, like, a video game for my birthday, which hasn't happened in a long time, I will admit, I'm not, like, I can't really expect her to be, like, to download this Nintendo app for, like, 3 months to keep track of release dates and pricing and all that stuff.
No, but at the same time, she might not know that you might not want a Switch 2 game that doesn't have the full game on the cart.
Yeah.
And that was when things get confused. Also, they could announce that the Switch 2 is going to cost like $700 in America, and that could make it not sell great.
That is certainly true. The tariff situation has complicated it a lot, as it has with many things.
So that is a worry. But it's only like it's not even out yet, so it's only we don't know what the lifespan is going to be like.
No,
I it's one of those weird things where I'm like, I hope it's great, but saying that feels weird because it's like I hope this company makes lots of profits. You know what I mean? It just feels a bit like awkward. But no, I
mean, we broadly like the products that they make, right? Is
yes.
Like obviously it is awkward to talk about that because of the whole, exploitation under capitalism thing.
Yes. I hope.
But like we wouldn't be doing this podcast if we didn't broadly like the products that Nintendo makes,
That's true. And man, like my life is just spent buying anime toys and giving all these companies lots of money. Like, but yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't have paid almost £500 to get mine as soon as possible if I wasn't looking forward to playing it.
Yeah.
But I did save for a very long time specifically to buy this. And also, it'll be ice soup for a while. Or lots of ramen that's like 60p a packet.
Yeah. Put a scoop of peanut butter in there.
Yeah. Although I will say, like, I am... If anyone wants a tip, to save money, especially on Switch 2 stuff, I specifically... In fact, me and my partner, because obviously if you live with someone who also likes similar things, what we do is we write down all the games that we want, right? And then we go, right, you ask for that one for your birthday, and I'll ask for this one. Because then we both get them, right? You just, the rule of kin is whoever gets it gets to play it first, because that's fair. So we do that for a lot of things. So, and I have, I make a wish list, and My dad will get me Switch 2 stuff, and I'm very fortunate that my in-laws are massive nerds. Like, my father-in-law has a Steam Deck. He's on my Steam account. He's a big nerd. When I met my mother-in-law, she instantly knew what my Grim Fandango tattoo was from.
Nice.
And she bought me, God, this is how long ago it was, the Super Mario Bros. Dream Team on the 3DS as a present when I met her. And that when the game came out. She's a huge nerd. So, like, I'm fortunate that I can strategically ask for games for presents to, save some money. And, if you got to do that for this generation, because they're so expensive, do that. Or go halfers with your partner or flatmate or something, because it helps.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Now let's talk about what we're going to be playing for future episodes. If you're a first-time listener, because you're on YouTube, I have been saying Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth a lot. I am confident I will have it finished before next episode. I am on chapter 19 of 20, and I feel like I'm really close to the end of 19. I am going to make it my mission to have it finished, and I will talk about it.
One of them is a PlayStation Plus game this month, and I was like, oh, I wonder if Hilka's finished his one. I don't know if it's the same one. Because I know there's like a few. But yeah, and then I was like, oh, I wanted to play this, and then I remember her logo. Hilka said it was, and I'm like, no. No, I'm excited to hear what it's like after so many hours. 100 hours.
Yeah, I'm worried that like I have genuinely been saying this for like 3 months, and I'm worried that it'll just be like,
it was all right.
that my description won't live up to the hype at this point.
Yeah, it's like over
but I guess we'll see.
Over 100 grueling hours, and you're like, yeah. And it's like, okay. I did that thing I did do where I start lots of other games when I'm trying to finish. I'm one. My bad. But it's also on the Switch. Oh.
Yeah. So what have you got cooking?
So I am like almost 60 hours into Unicorn Overlord. It's a long game, and I don't want to rush it. So I will finish that one day. But no, I started. This is a sentence. Master Detective Archives Rain Code.
Yeah, that's a sentence. That's the one. That's not the one from the Danganronpa people, right? That's a different. It is.
It is, yeah. And it's the most Danganronpa thing ever, and it's very good. I'm already like 5 hours in, and it's a good game when I'm like 30 minutes in, and I stop to play it to look up figures for it on my phone.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So it's very, very fun. And I'm actually quite excited to talk about it. And like they have a new game coming out too, called like that we talked about on that was
the 100 Days Defense Academy or something along those lines.
Which I might pre-order because I forgot how much I love the tropey aesthetic of their games. It's so wonderful.
And also like not to put too much pressure on people, but they have kind of made it clear that like if this game doesn't do well, they are kind of screwed.
Yeah. So I will throw all my money at them. Honestly, I was very close to because my dad got me the PS5 version of this for Christmas, but then for like 50 quid you can get the collector's edition right now that comes with like a plushie, and I'm like, do I buy it again?
Do you double dip?
Yeah, I guess I could trade the dupe, but that's how much I'm enjoying it. So I'm quite hyped to talk about my anime game.
Nice. All right, that's going to do it for this extra super long episode of End Focus. Please, Nintendo, don't do any more 2 directs in a row, especially not 60-minute long ones. So we could get back to normal length episodes in the future. I have been your host, Hilka. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Rosalie. stick around for the ending segments and the social medias and that stuff. And hey, if you're listening on YouTube, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, press the like button, smash the bell, all that annoying stuff. But in the meantime, we will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, Hilke here. I just wanted to say thank you for listening to this episode of End Focus. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review on iTunes. It really helps us get noticed. Tell your friends if you think they'd be interested. Like, word of mouth is a really helpful thing too. You can listen to us and subscribe on Spotify, other podcast services, and now YouTube. Hey! You can also be sure to check out our sister show, Game Podular Unfocused, which will also be going on YouTube as well as our normal feeds. You can follow us on Blue Sky and at GamePodular.com for updates, news, and other content. Links to all of our socials, including the Discord, the Mastodon, the Blue Sky. You can find those at our Linktree. If you want to support our show, you can buy us coffee or become a patron on the Game Podular Patreon, the details for both of which are on our website. Thank you very much. This episode was edited by me, and boy, it was a long one. And you can follow me at Gear12Turbo at kind.social on Mastodon, or at Gear12Turbo.bluesky.social on Blue Sky. I was joined today by Rosalie, who you can find at littlerecordgirl.bluesky.social on Blue Sky. Have a good one.